This is a 2007 movie review. It's called The Fourth Man. It's been described as an East European cross between Leon, the Bourne Identity, and Old Boy. A hitman, memory loss, tragic killer twist. A nod to the ingenuity of Memento wouldn't go amiss either. Nonetheless, while the film lends itself to some obvious parallels and useful comparisons at first sight, ultimately it's an undermining association. Nico Coccio plays Lazar, a man awakening in hospital after coma for 2 months. Suffering from total amnesia, he slowly starts to piece together his past, trying to discover who he was and how he came to be shot in the head at point-blank range. It's a journey of dripped information and painful intermittent flashbacks for both him and us as we learn more about what may have happened when the seductive Theodora, a would-be friend from old Pukovnik, and a helpful but secretive police inspector all become involved, so the lines of the increasingly bloody map are drawn. As events untold, Zikevich paces an engrossing, wily thriller with bursts of tense action that becomes ever more involving. And I won't read the rest of the review. After this man starts to come round after this 2 months coma, we then see a meeting between a senior army officer and the doctor, which suggests that the man who was shot in the head was either in the army or was involved politically as an activist. The setting is, I assume, Yugoslavia or Balkan War as described. So one is asked immediately, does the fact that he has no memory, is that a benefit to this colonel, or is it an apprehension that if he were to start to remember details, this could be politically dangerous? The colonel, dressed in plain clothes, goes in to see the man, and it becomes apparent that they work together, although the man who's come out of the coma has no recollection of him, other than he's told that they work for the government, him with the two of them and one other. But the attack on him in his apartment resulted in the death of his wife and son. He continues to get rehab as he needs to relearn to walk. We then get a visit from a policeman who's been assigned to investigate the case, and he makes the man aware that he was part of military intelligence. And he also brings cigarettes, which was the first thing that this man requested when he became awake. This film is a little bit like a web untwining. He becomes aware from his best friend that he's a professional assassin working for the government, and that he was following a man, and that he had some information that his assassins probably wanted. We also see him going to a bar near his apartment, and the bartender assumes he wants the same drink because he had prior to the shooting. We also see him in another establishment with a girl who we perceive he was having some sort of fling with, and she's not too happy at his absence, and he tries to remain calm but secretive. Alongside that, it appears that he's starting to become a little paranoid, because it's certainly possible that he might be targeted again, particularly if he starts to remember things. So he's wary about disclosing what has happened to him. It appears that the lead character, Lazar, as he becomes physically and emotionally stronger, this is my interpretation, I think he decides that he wants to find out about himself, and possibly a motive is revenge. He goes about this by returning to the place where he works, guesses the password to his personal computer, which is in a highly secure building, and then finds out about the person who he would have been tracking down prior to the assassination attempt on his life. And then we witness him revisiting his career as a professional assassin as a means to finding out who tried to kill him. That's my view on it anyway. The review that I've got that is less specific, although it does refer to the fact that we're in Serbia, and of course references to the war, the Balkan War. There's a quote: "The actions of individuals, victims and perpetrators, and the government authorities then and now are explored with a frankness that adds to the narrative's emotional impact." And it's pretty tense and very, very violent. The inspector finds out about what's happened, the killing spree that, what's his name again, Lazar, has gone on, goes back to him, and then finds out that he killed this man and got no information out of him. Basically suggested he ought to arrest him. There's a tension in the air, but then eventually the inspector comes back to his apartment after they've left and shows Lazar a picture of his daughter, who ended up dead in a dumpster, having been pumped full of heroin. So clearly he has been a victim, much like Lazar. We see some new information about a possible guy who laid down the contract for his assassination. He's now slipped into quiet retirement as a pig, raising pigs. Lazar, undeterred, goes there, slaughters him and half of his staff. But one eyewitness, a young woman, he spares. Later, this woman is at a police station describing Lasse, and then the man who supplied him with the information turns up, the retired police officer, and points out that to the woman in the bathroom that he knows about her daughter, and she immediately cramps up when asked questions by the police investigating the slaughter at the pig farm. The girl who he met in the bar and he was having a relationship with, that's rekindled, and it's changed. He's changed, and she and him start up their relationship, and it's much more a relationship based on desire, protection, whereas before it was more just a monetary exchange, when he was basically having a bit on the side. And there's a touching scene in a restaurant when she shares her love for him, even though you can't remember much. You can't remember anything about what happened when they first met. Change. The retired police officer delivers a bag to his apartment, and the message to the girl Theodora who's living with him. When he opens up the bag, there's a rifle with sight, an assassin's rifle, and there's pictures of her suggesting that she is probably a plant to draw. The folks who are after the information that he has forgotten. She's there to monitor his amnesia, his recall. After that most recent spree of killing, then returns, and there's a video cassette. He puts it in the player. Thank you, lovey. And then the whole piece comes together, the final piece in the jigsaw. But you'll have to watch it. It's quite compelling.